First, more of your calls on whether the government should cut benefits to curb inflation. We're going to go straight on and, as we said, let's talk to Jamie in Somerset. Jamie, is this the way to curb inflation? Do you think it will have the right effect if it was something that the government decided to go with?
No, good morning. No, I don't, because it would affect me personally. It would affect me personally because I've been, I'm on benefits myself. Nothing to do, not my own doing, anything like that. But it would affect me massively. It would affect me personally because it's been in and out of the care system in supported living. If they cut the benefits, but I know. Obviously, everyone's saying it's speculation at the moment, but speculation. It's potentially something that might happen, and if it does happen, what happens to people like vulnerable adults that are in supported living and all the different homes that they find out their benefits have been cut, and then they struggle to pay potentially. Not saying they would, but what if they struggle to pay? Their rent and other stuff like that? Because I know Anne's saying don't panic, it's only speculation, but for me, someone like myself, I panic and stress about anything, to be quite honest with you. So this has got to me, this subject.
Isn't this the real damage here? That, Jamie, you want to live your life, you want to have a degree of predictability. So you can say in 6 months, a year's time, you can make the rent, you can afford to put food on the table. And this kind of speculation just feels quite reckless, doesn't it?
It does. And I think I even speak to people that I live with, that it would affect everyone in certain ways. And yes, people that are on benefits, yes, they can get jobs, but then if they get a job, they can only being on benefits, they can only work a certain amount of hours a week. 16. I've got a job at the moment, and I work 16 hours a week max because of the benefits. But if the benefits get cut in any way, then it's just going to, like I say, it's going to affect loads of people, and it might already start affecting people just by hearing this subject on the show already. People might be panicking in their own home already.
And I know, guys. Sorry, Jamie. I know, guys, you've both said, Owen, you said this is kite flying. You've said it's speculation. Why then are we not hearing from a government spokesperson who's saying, actually, guys, don't worry. There's nothing in this at all. Somebody should then, for people like Jamie, be coming forwards and saying, you can relax. This might be something we're looking at. Just give us more detail and a little bit more of the meat on the bone, if you like, the truth of the situation.
No chancellor in the run-up to a budget or in the course of deciding where they're going to make cuts in order to meet inflation, no chancellor is going to do things piecemeal. And if you get into that trap, and I know this well, if you get into the trap of denying things piecemeal, you end up with the decisions taken out of your hands. So what the government is doing at the moment is looking at how it's going to manage inflation. It is looking at where cuts might fall. But I can tell you here and now, it won't have decided anything. And this is speculation. It is talking about what the government could do, not what the government will do.
Yeah, but two things on this. I mean, firstly, it's not exactly a mad conspiracy idea to think a Conservative government could cut benefits, because they've done that repeatedly in the last 13 years. There's multiple precedents for them cutting back on welfare spending. The second point is, I worked in the media now for 12 years. It is a tried and trusted method for the government, in advance of it doing something, to brief favourable newspapers and favourable journalists in advance to prepare the ground for things they do. This is a Conservative supporting newspaper. It has been written up in a way which government ministers, if they were going to do it, would actually be pretty happy with. I've read the article, and I think the danger is they're laying the foundations by telling a supportive newspaper before they actually do it. And they've done that over and over again.
Is the effect of that then long term? We look at it and maybe there's a cut to employment support allowance, and then we all breathe a sigh of relief because the pension triple lock hasn't gone. And we think, well, it could have been all three. And we've only... Is that what we're playing around with?
There is sometimes an element of that whereby you try to prepare people for the worst when you're never actually intending to impose it. But I doubt that.
And then panicking people.
I'm just worried that the damage is being done to people like Jamie.
Do I ever get to finish a sentence on this programme?
No.
Do I ever get to finish a sentence?
Never, Anne. Let's go to Norman in Kent. Come on, Norman. Tell us. Let's stop Anne talking and let's hear what you've got to say about the possibility. Are you going to be losing your benefits if these three things happen? Speculation, we know, but what do you make of it, Norman?
I'm 72, retired, obviously. Disabled. Two of them examples could hit me. I struggle through week by week. I've not long lost my wife. Things have got very hard. I'm basically living on takeaways now. But Owen makes a very good case, and Anne just sits there with her eyes going up and down, up and down. It won't happen. It will happen because the weak and the people that can't defend themselves always get hit. And we're pets. Never mind waggling your head about, Anne. We
cannot say it will happen. You do not know that.
If you'd be quiet for a little minute, Anne, you've wanted your say. I'm telling you now, my love, you came from a camp of Tories. They're ultra right wing, and they're even worse now. So why are you defending a man?
Norman, can we just say, in the first instance, we're so sorry to hear about your loss, about your wife.
Thank you.
And also, just to say, it sounds like two of these benefits, if they were cut, this would affect you. But what do these headlines do to you? The anticipation and not really knowing the detail of what might happen and maybe waiting for months or years for something to happen. What effect does that have on you?
It's like sitting waiting for invasion from Russia. It's the stupidity. It's just being ultra spiteful, and we've got to pay for the incompetence of this government. And that's the top and bottom of it. And Owen, thank you for being sensible. Oh, look, here she goes. Oh, bless her heart. Look, oh, give her a glass of wine.
OK, what we're going to do, Norman, we wish you the best. We're going to move on because I want to hear from Sarah from Liverpool. Sarah, these benefit cuts, when they happen, how would they affect you and what do you make of them?
Good morning, Matt. Well, to be perfectly honest, they would directly affect me. I've got a autoimmune neuro problem, and I'm on ESA, and I know for a fact I will get absolutely hammered. And at the same time, I am also looking after my mum, who I have had to, no thanks to the NHS, get treatment for out of my ESA. And to be perfectly honest, it will affect me greatly. And for all what Anne says about it's just speculation. It won't happen, Anne, be quiet. And it will never happen. The government will never do that. Well, let me tell you, for the last 13 years, I have seen the most vulnerable in society being kicked and treated worse than an abused dog in this country. We've had the bedroom tax. We have had benefits cut to the bone. And now, after all of this, and we've got food banks, they think it's a good idea, we've got food banks in this country. Oh yes, isn't that marvellous?
Sarah,
no waste food. Let me tell you something. What most people don't realise is what this government has been practising for the last 13 years with the rise in hate crime thanks to their policies to do for the vulnerable. They've been practising social eugenics for all that time. And other governments
Sarah,
before
I'm
that.
going to have to stop you there. I'm so sorry. And I would love to give you a chance to come back on that very quickly. Obviously, you've had a lot of slings and arrows thrown at you.
Oh, yeah, but they're all based on one thing, which is that this is going to happen. Now, that past caller said, this will happen. Okay. We don't know that. I'm going to say this. I think this is irresponsible.
I'm up against the clock.
You're scaring people rigid.
Thank you, Anne. And thank you, Sarah. Thanks for all of your calls on this.